Now if you watch my video where I'm running my locomotive up at Northcliffe Woods, you'll have seen that there was problems with the cylinder drain cocks and one of the plugs missing from one of the cylinders. The driver's, the left hand cylinder. How it got misplaced, this plug, is beyond me because it's a screw plug. But anyway, what I need to do really is to make some more plugs for these drain cocks. I ain't going to use the old ones. I'm going to make a complete set of new taper plugs. And what I shall do when they're all finished, I'll assemble them in the cocks themselves, and then I'll spot through in situ and then drill the holes, so everything will be lined up hopefully, so that when the drains are fully open these holes will all line up, and hopefully when the lever is in full forward shut, everything will be closed and there'll be no leakage hopefully. Now you can see I've partially disassembled these links for the cylinder drains, and this is one of the plugs in the cylinder. These are only temporary because these holes were drilled really to take small oil cups like you see on a lot of narrow gauge engines. They're a bit like drain cocks, but they have small levers for manually opening them and just adding a drop of oil to the cylinders and then closing them. And that was the plan for that, but for some reason the plug went missing. And this is the guilty party. So that's the first job, is to make one of these plugs and get that plugged up. The linkage on this side hasn't been taken down. The drain cocks are still fully assembled, but that's going to be the next job. I have actually left one of the cocks in here. It's partly disabled, and the reason is that I've actually filled the cylinder with oil to flush out any water after the run. There you can see the drain cock. Now here you can see the disassembled drain cock, and there's the plug. This is it's not properly lined up when the levers work. Instead of messing about and trying to realign, I'm going to make 4 new ones as I mentioned, and then I'll make sure that everything's set, then drill them in situ, and it should be okay. This is the taper reamer which I use. It's a simple reamer. I think it's about 3.5 degrees taper, I think. I'm not too sure, but it was okay for doing the actual taper bores. The cock itself, the plug, was actually lapped in, and it provided a good seal, but with it being slightly out and all drilled slightly different, it was not good. So hopefully we shall have a go and make some new ones. But first I need to make the new plug for the cylinder. That's the first job. Now, as I mentioned, the first job to do is to make the small plug for the cylinder. As I mentioned, or if you saw my previous video, you see that the plug was missing. How it got missing I don't know, but it's only a tiny temporary plug in the front cylinder cover, and it's actually 1/4x40, which is a bit fine really, but the front cylinder covers are made of steel, so this will be okay. If it were cast iron, well, you really need a coarser thread. I have some more hexagon rod to make a replacement. This is what I used last time, so we'll use this. Now just a matter of finding the die, and here we are, 1/4x40. It's 1/4x40 ME size taps and die, and that will suffice. That's the die there. Will it focus? This is just an ordinary carbon steel die which I've had many years. It's cut many threads and it's still okay. There's no wear with it. It's just ordinary carbon steel. Of course, you're better off with high speed steel. You can't beat high speed. But that's done steel, brass, bronze, you name it, and it still cuts okay. Now I shall just machine up this small plug for the cylinder cover. Now this hexagon is only it's only 260 across the flats, so it only needs a small light skim to get to size. Just 249. 249, which will do. I'll just make sure it's the same length as the other one, because we don't want it too long. Otherwise, it will. There's a danger of it striking the piston. Now what I normally do, bring this back, when I'm using a die, I have a guide, just a slight extension, just a small extension, which I put in the drill chuck. And then I use my, if I can find it, the die stock. Whatever have I done with it? Where's my die stock? Disappeared. Oh dear. I think my workshop is actually is a black hole. Anything I put down or drop on the floor just disappears, and it's never to be seen again. There we are. Found the die stock. And what I do normally is just put the die against the job, push the stop in the drill chuck, and just make sure that it's locked, and then what I do then is just apply slight pressure to the tailstock, and at the same time turn the die stock, and that's all I need to do. I'll just turn around to get to the full amount of thread by reversing the die. The one side of this die is ground a little bit more than the original die was. I did this so I could get up to shoulders, and there's no big taper on the rear of the die, big taper lead I should say. See, if you can see that it is actually ground, whereas the other side has the large taper lead to enable it to engage on the workpiece which you're going to thread, but the other side is quite flat. And now I shall just put a small relieving groove at the rear of the thread. And there we have the new plug. Just face off the pip, tidy it up, and that's that job out of the way. There we have it, the replacement plug. That should now fit snugly into the cylinder cover there. Well, there we are, replacement plug. See if I can lose that one. Make sure that the other one is also fitted, because I don't want to be forgetting that one. Now the next job is to make the taper cocks for these Draincocks, and these are 6mm in diameter. I have some 6mm diameter rod which I used before, and what I shall do is I'll cut the rod in half, and I'll machine 2 tapers on either end of the rod, so I'll have 4, which will allow me to hold the rod for milling, because there is a small flat on the cocks. I don't know if you can see that. But these go into the links on the Draincock movement on the cylinders, and they're also threaded. Now the taper on the Draincocks is, I think it's 3.5 to 4 degrees, and this is the reamer which I use to open out the Draincock bodies themselves. And I believe, as I say, it's 3.5 to 4 inch, 3.5 to 4 degree taper. And I'll use this reamer. I'll put this in the lathe chuck, and I shall clock it to the correct setting, so that when I use the compound, I'll get the same angle, and hopefully the new cocks, the plugs which are remake, will only need a little bit of lapping to seat properly. So that's the next job. Incidentally, I keep all my short rod and other things in these so-called bacon boxes, and they're quite good. These I got these from I think it's Poundland. and they all clip together. It's quite good. I have a few of these and they stack quite well. I have silver steel and other short lengths, hexagon and what have you, and they all stack nicely, and they're ideal for storing short lengths of rod. I think the longest you can get in one of these boxes is 10 inches, you know, or 250 millimetre. Very handy. At £1 a piece, you can't go wrong. Although I think they might have gone up by now because lots of things in the pound stores have gone up. So next job now is to get the taper sorted out. Well, I've now loosened the swivel on the compound there. I'm just setting it approximately to the angle which I think it could be. I'm sure it's about 3.5 degrees. I'm not really too sure. And I need to lock up the compound swivel. I'm using my baty gauge on this occasion, which a lot of people probably don't use. Well, I've just now loosened the compound on the swivel base, and I've just set it to approximately 3.5 degrees, which I think that's what the taper on the reamer is. And I'm using my baty dial indicator now and just see. So we'll just have a go. Just gently that wasn't a bad guess. Very, very close. Just slightly out. A couple of thou. Just slacken off again. I'll just tap it around a little bit more. It doesn't need much. I'm afraid it's not right clear with this dial indicator. The whiteness is just masking everything, but well, you can see, but it is it's pretty near is that. I think that will do. Well, that should do what I need it to do. I'll call that it. Now I'm just sidetracking for a moment. Describe my dial indicator which I use. I use this quite a lot along with another one. Now these are made by baty or baty, as some people say, and they're very popular in the UK. I've used these for a lot of years. When I was in the engineering, we used to use a lot of baty dial indicators. Now this particular one I had given along with another one by a friend of mine, and I do use it a lot, and it's a very nice indicator and very accurate, nicely made. Now I'm not sure whether they're still made in the UK. I have a feeling the Swiss made now are baty dial indicators. I'm not really sure about this, I might be wrong, but you can get them easily on various sites, brand new, so I don't know. Now this is one of the other baty indicators I had given by my friend. This is obviously a lot larger, and it's a beautiful movement on it. Nice range. Now unfortunately when I got this there was no crystal. It was missing and I could not get one. So what I did, I used a piece of perspex and glued it onto the front, and then just went round with a black marker pen to tidy up the edge, and it came out quite well. And it's a nice indicator to use and very clear. Here's another baty. Now this is
an older one, and it's seen quite a lot of use, but the movement is still nice and free, and no sticking whatsoever. It's just that the face has got a little yellowed, which I plan to actually clean up along with some other dial indicators I've got. Now this is the other common indicator what's used in the UK. These are made by Mercer, and these are the more popular ones. And these are very nice indicators, also very accurate. And again, this one is a bit grubby and it needs servicing. Although the movement is perfect, there's no sticking in it. It's lovely and smooth. So that's a future project. Here we have another Mercer. Now this is a metric one, whereas the previous one was imperial. Again, nice movement, same as that one, nice and smooth. Now this kind of indicator, test indicator, this is by Verdict. This is another popular one. I think Mercer make these kind as well. I'm not right sure, but I've had this quite a lot of years now, and it's still perfectly serviceable. And this gets a lot of use. You can reverse the movement by this small lever at the side. Very useful test indicator is that. Now here we have a similar kind, but this is by baty, and this is the same type of movement, and also along the side there is a small lever for altering the way the lever moves. Another very useful indicator which I've used for a lot of years now, and it's never given me any trouble. Now this is an old Verdict, the old type, the very cheap type of indicator, test indicator that was produced. I don't know whether they still ever make this kind anymore. It's fairly basic, but even so, it's an accurate little indicator, and it works quite well. I've not used this for quite a few years now, but I just keep it for the sake of it. Really, it's just interesting, old school. I did use it quite a lot on the lathe when I had an old Myford ML4, and it was the only thing I could afford at the time, really, and it served its purpose until I graduated to the more updated type of indicator.
I've now set the compound slide rest, of which I used a reamer to make sure that the angle is set up correctly to do the inserts for the Draincocks. Now before I actually do the taper, I do have to turn down the small diameter, and there's also a small thread on here which is 4BA, and after this operation's finished, there's a small flat to be put onto the onto the small diameter there, and this enables it to fit into the one of the links of the Draincocks. And instead of having a square, this is just a flat on the half foot round, which is adequate. It does it quite well. So the next job now is to machine the small diameters.
Now I'm machining down the small diameter here, and I shall be threading one end. I'll be threading it at 4BA because I've got quite a large stock of 4BA nuts which I want to use up, and once these have been used I shall switch over to metric. I'm gradually switching over to metric sizes. It's getting more and more difficult to find imperial size screws and nuts and everything these days. It's just so much easier to get the metric. Now I'm just making sure I've got the length correct, and then I'm going to thread it. But first I'll just take the edge off with the file. Now when I do thread small diameters like this with the die stock, and as I mentioned, I'm using the method I described before. I use a small stop in the tailstock chuck, and just press it against the die stock, and as I turn it, I turn the hand wheel on the tailstock, and it guides the die stock onto the part I'm threading. And this works quite well. You can get it more accurate if you actually do it the opposite way around, if it's directly onto the die itself, but I know this die stock itself is quite accurate. I made sure of that, and this method works quite well. That's the length of thread sorted out. Right, now the length of the small diameter is done. I'm going to now do the tape. It should be okay now, this, because with setting the reamer with the dial indicator, it should be okay. And as long as the tool is set exactly on centre right, it should produce the same angle, although if not very near. Well, anyway, they're going to be lapped in anyway, so any slight variation will be compensated for. But yeah, oops, there we go. If it had been onto the floor, that it'd have disappeared forever. Now we're trying it, and it fits quite well. I'm quite happy with that. Right, now this is the last cut on this first plug of these Draincocks. I don't want to machine too much off, because I don't want the small end of the taper protruding through the body of the Draincock too much. It just wants to stop short. Otherwise, when the spring and the nut is tightened up to all the linking place, it'll just bottom out and be no good. It needs to be just short of the plugcock body. Well, that's now finished, and I'll just put in the cock body on, and then I'm going to put the parting blade behind, just slightly in front, and then part off. This will give me the length I want. These rear tool posts really do come into their own on a job like this. I found this one of the most useful additions to my lathe ray tool post. It's proved its worth over the years. I'll just catch the little blighter as it drops off, and then that's one down and 3 to go. We'll just now try it in the body of the Draincock, and there we are. All that okay. I'll just now get on with the other 3.